I don't know if it was fate, dumb luck, or the universe being cruel in its favorite way quietly without warning, but that night started out like 1,000 others. I got home a little later than usual, juggling a bag from her favorite Mexican place and a warm soda from the gas station because I forgot she liked the Mexican Coke in the glass bottle. Jenna was curled up on the couch in one of my old college hoodies, bare legs tangled in the throw blanket, phone lighting up her face. She didn't even look up when I walked in. Just kept texting. "You're trendy, babe," she said without missing a beat. I had no idea what she was even talking about. I dropped my keys on the entry table, shook the rain off my jacket, and came over to the couch. "I got carnitas. Extra guac." "Ma'am, you're learning," she muttered, still tapping away. Her eyes were locked onto the screen like she was reading secrets meant for someone else. I remember that moment in slow motion now. The low hum of the TV in the background. The scent of cilantro and warm tortillas rising from the takeout bag. The way her fingers moved fast, then stopped for a beat, then picked up again. Her smile was faint. Too faint. But I was too tired to think much of it yet. I sat down next to her and unlocked my phone, ready to do the usual mindless scroll while we ate. I wasn't even looking for anything. It was just instinct, thumbing through stories like flipping through static channels on a late-night TV. A flash of blue water caught my eye. And then, there it was. A photo posted an hour ago. Jenna at a pool I didn't recognize. Her hair was slicked back, damp like she just swum. She was holding a cocktail, one of those oversized pineapple things with 2 paper umbrellas sticking out. She was smiling wide, like nothing in the world could bother her. But what stopped me cold was the man next to her. He was wearing a backwards baseball cap and aviators. His face was half-shadowed by the sun, but his hand was on her waist. Not resting. Not casual. Like he belonged there. Like it wasn't the first time. My stomach sank so fast I thought I might throw up. My hands went cold. I didn't even know I'd stopped breathing until she looked over and noticed the phone in my hand angled toward her. She didn't flinch. She didn't gasp. Just smirked like I was a kid who caught her sneaking cookies. "That," she said with a small laugh. "It's Photoshop. Avery's always messing around with filters. You know how she is." She gave a wave of her hand like she was brushing off lint from her sleeve. "Don't start, Sam. We were at a bachelorette party." She said the words easily, too easily. But then her voice cracked. Just a little. It was a half-second stumble, the kind you'd miss if you weren't listening for it. But I caught it. My ears locked onto it like a lie detector keyed to her frequency. And now I couldn't unhear it. "You were at a bachelorette party," I repeated slowly, not sure whether I was asking or accusing. She nodded too fast. "Yeah. Avery's cousin or sister or something, I don't know. It was one of those weekends. I showed you the invite, remember?" I didn't. But I also knew that if I said that, she'd pounce. She'd use it against me, twist it, spin it into "See? You don't listen to me. You never remember what I tell you." So I said nothing. Instead, I stared at the screen. At the pool. At the drink. At the man with his hand on my girlfriend's waist. My silence seemed to spook her more than yelling would've. She shifted, pulling the blanket higher. "Seriously, babe. Don't make this a thing. It's just a dumb edit. Avery sent it to everyone. It's not even real. Look at the lighting. My arm looks weird, right?" She leaned in, pointing to her forearm in the photo. "See how it doesn't match? It's a joke. A dumb joke." I looked. She was right. Her arm did look a little off, like it had been cut and pasted. But was that the editing, or just the photo quality? I couldn't tell. All I knew was that something felt wrong. Deeper than the pixels. Colder than any chill. She was watching me now, really watching, trying to read whether I was buying it. And that's when I realized she was playing defense. Fast, instinctive, almost polished. This wasn't new for her. My chest tightened. I set the phone down on the coffee table slowly, as if sudden movement would shatter the fragile mask she was wearing. I didn't say anything. I didn't accuse her. But I felt a shift between us, like a door closing. We ate in silence after that. She turned the volume up on the TV and scrolled through TikToks between bites. I chewed like my food had turned to cardboard. I nodded along when she made some comment about the episode we were half-watching, pretending I hadn't just seen my world tilt sideways. I didn't ask her any more questions. Not that night, because I already knew. I knew that whatever was in that photo, real or fake, had pulled the thread on something bigger. And the way she covered it up with practiced ease, that was what scared me the most. Not the hand on her waist, but the fact that she'd gotten so good at hiding it. I didn't sleep that night. She did, out cold, blanket tangled around her legs, her mouth slightly open like someone who didn't have a care in the world. like someone who hadn't just slipped a lie into conversation the way most people say past the salt. I lay next to her staring at the ceiling, thinking about that damn photo. The pool. The drink. His hand. But mostly, I thought about her voice. The way it caught for just one syllable. That single stumble that sent the rest of my thoughts into a freefall. Funny how it's never just one thing. One photo, one moment doesn't break trust. It's the way that moment rewrites everything that came before it. Like suddenly realizing the painting on your wall has been upside down for years. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I didn't want to dig. I didn't want to be that guy, jealous, suspicious, insecure. I wanted to believe her. But I couldn't stop my brain from running back through the months like a detective scanning security footage. And man, the footage was loaded. The first thing that came back was the perfume. A few months ago, I came home late from work and she met me at the door in a new dress, tight, low-cut, way more than she ever wore for me anymore. Her makeup was fresh and her eyes looked glassy like she'd had a drink before I got there. I remember hugging her and she smelled different. Like a perfume I didn't recognize, warmer, muskier. Not the soft vanilla stuff I'd bought her for Christmas. New scent. I'd asked, keeping it casual. She'd shrugged. Just a sample. Free with some skincare thing. You like it? Yeah, I lied. That was one of the first pebbles I ignored. One of the ones I kicked down the hill. Then there was the lingerie. New pieces showed up in our laundry that I never saw her wear. Lacy stuff, expensive stuff, tags still creased. Once, I asked if she bought them for a trip we hadn't taken yet. She said it was retail therapy. I didn't ask again. But it wasn't just things. It was time. She used to work from home twice a week. Then it became once. Then never. Too many Zoom calls, she'd said. Then came the after-hours meetings, the networking happy hours, the I'm just gonna work at the cafe for a bit texts that came after she'd already left. Her phone changed too. The passcode. It used to be my birthday. Then it was something else. I asked once, pretending I needed to grab something for her. She said it was because of a system update, some new security thing. Everyone at work had to do it. She didn't offer the new one. Another moment I buried. And then there were the calls. So many calls. She used to talk on speaker. Used to joke around with her coworkers, let me wave or say hi in the background. But then one day she started stepping into the hallway. It's loud in here, she'd say, even if it wasn't. She'd close the bedroom door behind her and come out smiling like nothing happened. Once I walked in too early. She was on the phone, whispering. I heard her say, wait, I think he's coming. The line went dead as I opened the door. She looked startled, but only for a second. Spam call, she said, shaking her head. Ugh, they're getting so sneaky these days. She didn't ask why I'd come in. And I didn't push. I don't know why I kept giving her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe because when someone is close to you, really close, you don't look for cracks. You learn to step over them. You convince yourself it's just how the floor's always been. But that photo turned the lights on. And when I really looked around, the house was full of fractures. There was one day, I can't believe I forgot this until now, I was walking past her car in the driveway and I saw something on the back window. A smudge. No, more like a handprint. Clear as day. Right in the center of the glass, like someone had leaned against it from the inside. Open palm. Fingers spread. She'd told me she'd cleaned the car that morning. Interior too. I remember standing there, staring at it like a crime scene investigator. I even took out my phone and snapped a picture. But when I asked her, she laughed. Oh, probably mine, she said. You know how I lean back when I'm wiping stuff down. I probably smacked the glass. It's nothing. I deleted the photo. Why did I do that? Because I wanted it to be nothing. Because loving someone makes you a terrible detective. You bury clues like bodies and pray they never rise back up. But now they were rising. All of them. Even the way she looked at me had changed. You know that look? That soft, unspoken glance you give the person who feels like home? Hers had gone cold. Not cruel. Just absent. Like her eyes were scanning a room I wasn't in. It was death by 1,000 small changes. And I felt every single one of them. That night, while she slept beside me, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. And I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit until now. She was already gone. She just hadn't left yet. 2 days later, it stopped being a theory. I remember it clearly because it started so stupidly. Jenna was in the shower, singing softly under the stream like everything was fine. I was in the kitchen making coffee, trying to pretend I was still someone who made coffee in the morning without seeing ghosts. The hum of the dishwasher, the drizzle outside the window, her voice in the distance, it all felt so normal it hurt. Then her tablet buzzed. Not a loud buzz. Just one of those polite little DZZZ nudges like a finger tapping your shoulder. It was on the table, screen up, right next to the stack of unpaid utility bills and an empty mug that still had her lipstick print on it. I wasn't snooping. I swear. I hadn't touched her phone, hadn't gone digging through her drawers. I was trying so damn hard not to be that guy. But the screen lit up on its own. Just a message preview. One line. From Brooke client. Couldn't sleep last night, kept hearing your whispers from the hotel. And then, a photo. I didn't recognize the woman in the image. Not at first. Her hair was styled differently, curled, voluminous, swept to one side. The makeup was heavier. Red lips. Smoky eyes. But the face beneath it? It was Jenna. She was posing in front of a mirror, holding the phone with one hand. Wearing lingerie I'd never seen before, dark, strappy, expensive looking. Her expression was soft. Playful. But what gutted me most was the smile. It wasn't her usual smile. It wasn't the polite, performative grin she wore at work events or the tired half-smile she gave me after long days. This one was real. Unfiltered. Full of warmth and possession. Like she was giving herself to someone. And it wasn't me. I froze. Everything in me screamed to close the tablet, to walk away, to throw it across the room, but I didn't move. I just stared. Her message thread with Brooke client was right there, open, the bubbles stacking like layers of a funeral cake. Last night felt unreal. I keep thinking about the way you looked when you opened the door. Don't forget the next conference is in 2 weeks. Rooms already booked. They weren't just talking in code. They were flaunting it. She didn't even bother hiding it well. Brooke? Really? It was almost insulting. Like she didn't think I'd ever be near her work tablet. Like I was invisible in my own house. I wanted to yell. I wanted to storm into the bathroom, hold up the screen, and ask her who the hell she thought she was. But I didn't. Because for the first time, I understood something that had been building for months. She didn't care if I found out. Not really. Jenna was past guilt. Past worry. She'd already stepped through the door and locked it behind her. All that was left was for me to catch up. I set the tablet down quietly, like it might break. Or like I might. And then I sat on the kitchen floor. I don't know how long I stayed there, knees pulled in, hands locked behind my head, trying to breathe. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the ease of it. The routine. The realization that this had been going on long enough to have a rhythm. A tone. A private language I was never supposed to learn. Everything suddenly made sense. Every excuse. Every girl's night she came back from glowing. Every time she said she was burnt out and needed a weekend away to recharge. The cold shoulders. The half-kisses. The nights she turned away in bed and muttered, "I'm tired." It wasn't tiredness. It was emptiness. She was gone. She'd already given her energy to someone else, and by the time she got home, I was just background noise. I stayed on that floor until the water stopped running. I heard the bathroom door open, the familiar shuffle of her feet on the hardwood, the scent of her lotion trailing behind her like perfume in a movie scene. She peeked into the kitchen. "What are you doing?" she asked, towel wrapped tight around her chest, her hair dripping down her back. I looked up at her. My voice didn't work right away. "Nothing," I said finally. "Just thinking." She shrugged. "Well, stop thinking and come eat. I'm making eggs." She grinned like this was just another Sunday. I watched her disappear down the hall, humming something under her breath. I sat there a while longer. And I realized the truth wasn't hiding anymore. It was standing in the kitchen, making breakfast in my t-shirt. I always thought if something like this ever happened to me, I'd blow up. I pictured yelling, throwing a chair, demanding answers. Maybe even a cinematic monologue. How could you? After everything? You know, that dramatic, raw kind of justice. But when it finally happened, when I had the evidence in my hand, the fake name in her messages, the photo of her in someone else's arms, I didn't feel explosive. I felt done. Like something in me had quietly clicked into place. Not anger. Not revenge. Just finality. The next morning, the sun rose like it had no idea what was wrong. Jenna was already in the kitchen, frying eggs, sipping coffee, scrolling her phone. Humming some pop song like she didn't have someone else's fingerprints all over her story. She smiled when I walked in. "Sleep okay?" I nodded. I didn't ask her how she slept. I didn't care anymore. I sipped water, leaned against the counter, and stared at her. She was wearing that robe I bought her 2 Christmases ago, the navy blue one she used to thank me for with a kiss I'd think about for hours. Now it just looked like a disguise. Like she was pretending to be the woman I used to know. We made small talk. Weather. Groceries. What she had on her work calendar. It all sounded like a foreign language. I asked, "When's your next trip?" She blinked. "Why?" I shrugged. "Just wondering how long I'll have the house to myself." She tilted her head, slightly suspicious, but let it go. And that was it. That was the moment I knew I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to break the dishes. I wasn't going to ask her to admit anything because I already knew the truth and she already knew I knew it. There was nothing more to say. That night, I waited until she was in the shower. She always played music in there loud. A specific playlist, actually. The same one every time. Pop hits. Girl anthems. The soundtrack of someone washing off guilt in warm water and lavender soap. Her towel was still hanging on the bathroom door when I walked out the front door with my keys, my phone, and my wallet. No note. No bag. No dramatic exit. I didn't even take my charger. Because I knew if I hesitated, if I waited even one more minute, she'd come out with that freshly showered charm and a fake "what's wrong" and maybe even a tear. And I'd give her another chance to lie. I couldn't give her that chance. Not again. The doorknob clicked behind me like a period at the end of a sentence. I got in the car. Sat with the engine running for a while. Hands on the wheel. Breathing. It hit me then, not sadness. Not fear. Relief. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, the fog in my head started to clear. I didn't know where I was going. I had no plan, no clothes, no toothbrush. But it didn't matter. Because I wasn't going to sleep beside betrayal another night. I wasn't going to pretend to be okay with a lie I didn't ask for. I wasn't going to wait for an apology that was never coming. I pulled out of the driveway like I was leaving a crime scene. And I never looked back. I didn't drive far that first night. I took the freeway with no destination, just followed the signs that didn't sound familiar. I passed exits I'd known my whole life, towns where I could name every coffee shop, every face at the gas station, and I kept going. I didn't want to be recognized. Didn't want someone to ask how Jenna was doing. Didn't want to be reminded that I used to be the kind of man who answered that question with pride. Eventually, I found myself in a place called Bluefield. I don't know why I stopped there. The name didn't mean anything. It wasn't scenic. It wasn't known for anything. Just a couple of old brick buildings, a gas station with one working pump, and a main street with more for lease signs than open shops. It smelled like wet pavement and old wood. Perfect. I parked near a bookstore that looked like it hadn't had a customer since the 90s and walked into the only building with lights still on, an antique shop with a room for rent sign in the window. An older woman behind the counter looked up from a crossword. "You look like you're carrying something heavy," she said without asking who I was or what I needed. I gave her a tired smile. "Just need somewhere to sleep." She handed me a key without a word. Just like that. No ID. No small talk. No questions. I went upstairs to a room that smelled like dust and cinnamon. The bed creaked. The window didn't lock. The floor sloped slightly toward the corner. But it was mine. For now. And it didn't have any pictures of her. No wine glasses in the sink. No hair ties on the nightstand. No reminders of how she used to laugh at night with her head in my chest like she'd never lie to me. It was quiet. That first week, I barely left the room. I ate crackers and warm soda. I ignored texts from friends who didn't know anything was wrong yet. I didn't post online. I didn't check hers. I just let the silence press in. It didn't feel peaceful. It felt like detox. I cried one night. Just one. Then I stopped. Not because I healed, but because there was nothing left to squeeze out. I was dry. By the second week, I walked down the street and asked the guy at the car wash if he was hiring. He looked me up and down and said, "You breathe, don't you?" And that was it. He handed me gloves and showed me how to operate the pressure hose. I worked in silence. It was the kind of job that didn't need words, just movement. Soap, water, repeat. People dropped off their cars and never asked for a name. They handed over keys and went on with their day. Nobody knew what I used to be, who I used to be. I liked that. In the evenings, I'd sit on the roof of the antique shop with a mug of gas station coffee. I'd listen to the shutters clatter in the wind, the faint buzz of a neon sign below me, the creak of the world turning without her in it. And in those hours, something strange happened. I started breathing again. Not well, not fully, but enough. Enough to remember I still existed outside of what she broke. I wasn't Sam the boyfriend or Sam the guy who got left. I was just Sam. A man with calloused hands and a quiet room and no one to lie to him when the lights went out. I still had nightmares. I still replayed the photo sometimes. Still wondered who the guy was and if he ever knew I existed. But those thoughts didn't run the show anymore. They visited, sure. But they didn't get to stay. It had been a month since I left. Long enough for the bruises to stop throbbing. but not long enough for the scars to fade. I still wore the same jacket every day, still drank the same stale coffee on the roof, still worked shifts at the car wash like I was scrubbing pieces of her off me, one soapy windshield at a time. I didn't tell anyone where I was. Not my friends. Not my parents. And definitely not her. That was the point, leaving without breadcrumbs. Not to be dramatic. Just necessary. Some nights I wondered if she even noticed I was really gone. If she thought I'd come back like I always did after a fight. Like the loyal fool I'd trained myself to be. Maybe she told her friends I just needed space, while continuing whatever charade she'd built in my absence. I didn't care. At least that's what I told myself. Then the letter showed up. I was coming down the stairs from the roof, coffee mug in hand, when the landlady flagged me down with her usual cigarette in one hand and a folded envelope in the other. "Someone left this for you," she said. No return address. Just Sam written on the front in handwriting I knew like the lines on my own palm. Jenna. I stared at it for a long time, thumbed the crease like it might bite. Part of me wanted to toss it into the trash, unopened. But I didn't. Instead, I went back to my room, sat on the creaky bed, and unfolded the paper like I was disarming a bomb. Her words were neat, careful, too careful. Like she rewrote them 3 times before settling on what wouldn't hurt too much, or maybe what would. "Sam, I don't know where you went. At first, I thought you were just cooling off somewhere. I thought maybe you'd be gone a day, a weekend, a week, max. I waited. I checked my phone every hour. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just kept waiting for that text from you. It never came. The house feels hollow, quiet in the wrong way. Every drawer I open reminds me of you. The fridge still has your hot sauce in it. Your jacket's still hanging by the door. He's gone, by the way. The guy you saw, he disappeared the second you left. Maybe he thought I'd fall apart and chase him. Maybe he just got bored now that there was no thrill in hiding. Either way, it doesn't matter. My friends barely talk to me now. Most of them knew. A few warned me. I didn't listen. I thought I could have everything and still keep you. I was wrong. I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm not writing for that. I just needed you to hear it. From me, not from silence. I ruined us. I don't recognize myself anymore. But I still remember you. The real you. The way you used to look at me when we danced in the kitchen. The way your hand found mine without thinking. I miss that. I miss you. If you ever want to talk, just talk. I'll be here. Not to fix it. Just to say goodbye, right? Please, Jay. I read it 3 times. The first, like I was bracing for a punch. The second, slower, like I was searching for a truth between the lines. The third, because I knew it'd be the last. She didn't understand. I'd already said goodbye. The moment I stepped out that door, the moment I didn't look back, I left her world. And she didn't get to ask me to return just because the silence got louder than she expected. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't write back. Instead, I folded the letter and placed it in the back of the drawer next to the spare change and a pocket knife I hadn't used in years. A relic, just like us. And then I made another cup of coffee, walked back up to the roof, and watched the sky do its slow turning thing. Bluefield didn't care who I used to be. Neither did I. We met after all. Not because I needed to. Not because I wanted closure. But because something in me, the part that still believed in endings that meant something, told me to go. It was a Tuesday. The kind of gray day that couldn't decide if it was winter or spring. I picked a park halfway between where we'd started and where I'd disappeared. Neutral ground. No ghosts. No memories. She was already there when I arrived. Sitting on a bench under a tree with bare branches, her hands in her lap, her gaze locked on the small pond that reflected nothing but clouds. She looked different. Not in a dramatic way, just duller. The shine she used to carry like armor was gone. Her hair was up. No makeup. No performance. Just Jenna. I approached without saying anything, sat beside her with space between us. The wind pushed through the trees, rattling branches like bones. Neither of us spoke for a while. Finally, she broke the silence. "You look good." I nodded. "So do you." It wasn't a lie. She looked like someone who'd been through something and come out the other side. Not untouched. Not okay. But changed. She laughed softly, shaking her head. "I doubt that." Another silence. Then, "I didn't expect you to come." I didn't either, I said. But here I am. She looked at me, and for the first time in a long time, her eyes weren't trying to sell me something. No manipulation. No soft lies. Just tired honesty. I meant what I wrote, she said. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just wanted to. I don't know. See you. Say goodbye, right? Face to face. I nodded. Okay. She swallowed, then looked away. You know, I keep replaying everything. Not just what I did, but who I became. I thought I could balance it. The lie and the life. I thought I'd be able to fix it before it all collapsed. She paused, biting the inside of her cheek. But I broke it. I broke us. And I think the worst part is, I didn't even understand how much until you were just gone. I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. She glanced at me again. You don't have to say anything. I don't deserve it. I just hope, one day, you'll be okay. I looked out at the pond. A single duck skimmed the surface, leaving a ripple in its wake. I already am, I said. She went quiet. I think that hit her harder than anything I could have screamed back when it still burned. Because it was true. I wasn't whole yet. I wasn't fixed. But I was no longer drowning in the aftermath of what she did. I wasn't trying to make sense of lies anymore. I wasn't stuck hoping she'd explain. I'd found my footing in the silence. We sat for a while longer. No apologies. No what-ifs. Just two people who had once shared a future and now shared a bench. Eventually, I stood up. She stayed seated, staring out across the water. Take care of yourself, Jenna. She looked up at me and nodded. Her voice was barely above a whisper. You too, Sam. I turned and walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't feel the urge to. Because the door had closed. And in front of me? Open sky.